Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about all the things you want to know about being postpartum. This video is going to be a Q&A style video. I thought it would make the most sense for me to just simply answer any questions you may have, regardless of whether they are TMI or strange. I figured giving you the opportunity to finally ask the questions you've always been curious about would be the best way to go about it. So if you're excited for this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new to our channel, hi, how are you? I am Lex, nice to meet you. Please subscribe if you want to come and hang out with us. So I asked some questions over on Instagram. My Instagram is @lex.fitzgerald for those of you who are wondering. So I'm gonna pull up those questions and we can get started. There are some great questions, and also disclaimer, I have no fear about talking about practically anything on this channel, so if you're squeamish or if you don't want truthful answers, this video might not be for you. The first question is, are you able to walk and get out of bed by yourself 24 hours after giving birth? So from my personal experience, if we're looking at just a 24-hour window, yes, I was able to get out of my bed and move around on my own within 24 hours of each child. I had a vaginal birth for all three of them. With my first one, I had an epidural, and then with my second and my third, I did not. So with my second and third, I was able to get up right away. Now with an epidural, I wasn't. My legs were still kind of strange and kind of like coming off of the epidural. I did have about 2 to 3 hours in that room that I stayed in the delivery room for, and then after that, I was able to get up slowly. So I would say personally for me, within 3 hours of all of my vaginal births, I was able to get up and start walking around on my own. Next question is, what kind of birth control are you now using? For me personally, I've always found that natural family planning has always been the best avenue of birth control for me. I have tried hormonal birth control before in the past, and it just makes my body so weird and off. My cycles have always been extremely consistent, and every time that I would take a hormonal birth control, that would always change drastically. I would either have a very heavy period and it would come at different times. I would have bleeding in between periods. I wouldn't have a period at all. And I just didn't really like how my body felt. I'm one of those lucky people who gets their period back right away, regardless of breastfeeding. So I had gotten my first period at 6 weeks postpartum. Now I am like 15 weeks postpartum, I think. I recently started using something called Natural Cycles, and it is amazing. So it's a thermometer along with an app on your phone that you use to track your cycle and your ovulation window. It is 100% hormone free, and it is the only FDA approved birth control app. So when they reached out to me and asked if they could sponsor one of our videos, I was all about it. So let me give you some stats here, because I know this is info that I would want as well. So normal contraceptive pill birth control is effective 93% of the time. A condom is effective 87% of the time. There's clinical evidence that supports Natural Cycles having a 93% effectiveness with typical use, and if used perfectly, it has a 98% effective rate. It's such a simple process. All you have to do in the morning, right when you wake up, before you go and do anything else, open the app, take your temperature, and it uses your basal body temperature to track your cycle. And then by recording all of your body temperatures, you're able to figure out exactly when you are most fertile. And the app will let you know when to have intercourse and when not to, depending on whether you're trying to get pregnant or not get pregnant. If you would like to give Natural Cycles a try, you can. I have a special promotion for you. So you can get 20% off of the year-long subscription plus a free thermometer. All you have to do is head to the description box below and click on the link there. I also have a promo code. It is LEX, and that will get you the exact same deal. I'd love to know if you've used this method of birth control in the past, so comment down below, and thank you to Natural Cycles for sponsoring today's video. On to the next questions. Let's get to the nitty-gritty. How long do you bleed after, and how many days are you really heavy bleeding? Okay, let's chat about this. So I bleed a lot, and then it like disappears, and then I have a lot of lochia. And then for some reason my period likes to just be like, hey, I'm back, we're fertile, let's have more babies. And I'm like, natural family planning. Let me see how much I can explain to you in bleeding wise. So I could probably go through a pad every 2.5 hours to 3 hours, I would say. It's definitely like a lot right in the beginning, and then it sort of like tapers off. But by the time I am home, I'm pretty much out of a Depends adult diaper by then. Something that I kind of wish I knew before giving birth is that when you give birth, the pain's not like, doesn't end there. The giving birth to the placenta is not really that hard or like painful. It feels really weird. It feels like you have a giant balloon coming out of your body. It's like, that's what it felt like for me, especially with no epidural 2 other times. It just feels like a coming out of your body. It's like really strange. But they push on your belly. It hurts so much. So they're pushing your uterus down really intensely to try to get it back down to size, and that is naturally pushing like blood and stuff out of your body. You do definitely bleed a lot in the beginning, but I didn't find it to be anything that was like I wasn't able to handle in any way. But you do want to be prepared with like mesh undies and really big pads, or the Depends, multiple like levels of pads, some panty liners, all of that kind of stuff. The dreaded first poop. Dun dun dun. Slash hemorrhoids. Let's talk about those too. There's a lot of hemorrhoids questions as well. We'll just nip both of these in the tush right now, no pun intended. All right, so the dreaded first poop. It really is hard. It's rough, and once again, no pun intended. There's a lot going on down there. Even if you have a C-section, you have like practically an opened wound. It's not open, it's stitched, but like still, you have a very sensitive part of your abdomen. They cut through your muscles, etc. For me, I always tore. Always had a 2nd degree tear. Number 2 just seems to be my number. No matter what I do, I just always get that tear. Truthfully, my midwives have always told me that once you tear there, you have scar tissue, and the scar tissue isn't as like pliable, which means you're basically just gonna tear there again. My pain tolerance is like super, super high. That I had a 30-hour induction, and I just never had any type of pain management. I was always feeling my stitches as they were stitching them. But during that, and that really stung, but during that time, you have so much adrenaline. You just gave birth to your baby, and you just went through so much pain that was like not a big deal to me. I almost would rather them not give me a shot of numbing medication down there and just like get the stitches done with and just like make it happen. I'm throwing a lot of info at you guys right now. First time moms are probably like, oh my goodness. I promise you this is all worth it, because you hold your little baby and then you just like get to know them, and it's an incredible experience. But these things do happen, and I'm going to be real with you, because I feel like a lot of people kind of travel around these conversations, and I want you to just kind of know what you're in for. And once again, everyone's situation is completely different. Pain tolerance, the experience in and of itself, the hospital that they give birth at, or birthing center, or home birth. So this is my personal experience at the end of the day. The first poop is always intense. They can give you a stool softener. Take it if you would like to. I never needed to take it, but basically what I do is I just continue to eat food until I like have to go so bad that like my body really doesn't have to do much. So as gross as that sounds, I don't like try to force it. When I feel that it is time, I go and I have a moment. So I go and I try to just like sit down and just kind of imagine like releasing and relaxing my body, and just like very gently, slowly allowing the deed to be done. As far as hemorrhoids go, honestly, they're kind of hard to avoid. I didn't have any with my first son, but then with my daughter and with Sawyer, I just seemed to get more as the more babies I had. In my birth vlog, you'll hear me say like, my poor butthole. Because I was pushing and gave birth at 8 centimeters dilated, but it was because I was having that natural like baby like ejection thing that happens, where my body just decided that I was going to give birth right then and there. Like practically didn't have to push. Like the baby was just like falling out of my body. My body goes so quickly once my water breaks that I wasn't able to get to a full 10 centimeters. So I thought that I had like straight up torn from like my lady bits to my butthole. Like I literally thought that things just went, and that scared the crap out of me. And I literally am like grabbing my baby and like picking my baby up out of my body while saying my butthole. Like, oh my goodness, like this is gonna be so bad. I was seriously so fearful for my undercarriage. You have no idea. But thank God. I only ended up having like a slight 2nd degree tear, so all was good there. But I did get hemorrhoids, and they really do stink. Like they are terrible. You basically just get like a red irritated ball that's like in or out of your, like, your butthole, using super serious medical terminology here. You can get something called Tux pads. Those really help. They're just like witch hazel on a pad, and you can just like wipe down there and it like makes them feel better. So get those. I suggest those, but there's really nothing you can do about it. Did I look down there after birth? All 3 times I have never looked down there because I really just don't feel the need to see that. I know it's my body. I appreciate my body for all that it does for me. I love it, but I don't like, I'm good. I don't really want to. I want to leave it up to my imagination. Just, yeah. A lot of people want to talk about sex, the first time having sex, and they also want to talk about like how it felt and what it kind of looks like down there. First, I just want to start off by normalizing something because I feel like it's very, very important to normalize it. You just had a baby shoot out of your vagina. If you had a C-section, you just had a baby cut out of you. You also just went from having something nice and firm and round in your belly to it being all squishy. You also may have gained weight. You are going through a lot of different things during that postpartum time. Your hormones are going crazy. You might be experiencing baby blues or postpartum anxiety or postpartum depression or postpartum OCD/intrusive thoughts. You might be just experiencing a whole bunch of them. And even if you are not, if you don't experience one of those single things and you feel fabulous postpartum, if you still do not want to have sex with your partner, you are normal. It is common, and you know what? Do not. Do not. If you are not ready to be intimate, you do not have to feel forced to do so. Many studies done on women postpartum, and one of them that I was reading was so interesting, and it was basically saying how a mother who is in a nurturing state that's so extreme, like having a newborn baby, has a very difficult time quickly switching over to like a sexual, intimate, sexy feeling state. And that 2 of these feelings or positions that we find ourselves in are so conflicting, even though they're kind of using the same organs and hormones in our body. So like our breasts, for example, can be a very sexual place on our body, but it's also a very nurturing place on our body. And it's very difficult to go back and forth between the 2. I personally find it difficult to go back. In my relationship with Dan, hi Dad, if you're watching this video, probably now's the time for you to not be watching this video anymore. But in my relationship with my husband, I really don't like him being intimate anywhere on this part of my body while I'm like super deep into breastfeeding. And by super deep, I just mean like I'm very frequently breastfeeding my baby. You're supposed to be comfortable when you're being intimate, and you're supposed to enjoy it. And like, if you're not going to enjoy it and you're not going to be comfortable, like, you shouldn't be taking part in an activity that doesn't make you feel comfortable or that you enjoy. I personally just like to keep 2 separated. And then obviously you have a baby coming out of your hoo-ha, and then like something else goes into your hoo-ha, and like we're crossing there as well. And you're also healing a lot, you know, and you want to let your body really heal. You don't want to cause any like permanent damage. And to me personally, I don't think that, like, you know, however long you're intimate for, that shorter period of time is really worth affecting your body in such a long-term aspect. So I really try to just allow my body to heal or whatnot. Having said all of that, with Cooper, it was like a good 6 months. With Willa, definitely felt better. I took care of myself more during the pregnancy, and then postpartum, I think that we were intimate a little bit sooner than that. With this pregnancy and this postpartum experience, I felt the absolute best. And when my midwife cleared me at 6 weeks postpartum, I was honestly feeling like pretty okay and pretty like ready to go, and all was good. We didn't have sex right away at 6 weeks, but it was like a few weeks after that that we were intimate. And I do have to say, now having experienced my first time being intimate with my husband in that way, all at different varying times postpartum, the first time at 6 months didn't hurt at all, felt completely normal, everything was great. With this baby, and this time postpartum, things felt different, and this is how they felt different. It's funny because a lot of women are concerned that they're just gonna have like the Grand Canyon as a vagina after being postpartum and having a baby. And I actually found this time around to be the complete opposite. I felt very tight and restricted, and even wearing a tampon for the first time was like really uncomfortable, and I like never usually have discomfort in that way. They also say that postpartum, your hormones, so like when you're pregnant, you have a lot of estrogen, and estrogen creates a lot of like cervical fluid, so you're very like wet down there a lot. Some women even have to wear like a panty liner because they just have so much cervical fluid, but that's because of the estrogen in your body. And then when you give birth to the baby, your estrogen's like so it just like goes, and that causes you to have a lot of dryness. That might have an issue with it, but then again, like I was having my period and putting a tampon in, so like you get where I'm going with this. It honestly felt like my cervix was really low, and my vagina was definitely like a lot tighter. I don't know if like my midwife hooked me up or whatnot, but like kind of wish she didn't, because it was kind of painful. Having said all of that, I recently tried a menstrual cup. I'm not a menstrual cup type of person. Like I get granola and crunchy, but I don't get like that granola and country. I don't get like that crunchy. A menstrual cup is like my new best friend. I have the salt one, and they have like all different sizes. I have the regular and the size regular. I think I'm gonna go with the soft one in a size small and get like a different one, but my life has changed. I will never use tampons ever again, or pads or anything along those lines. It is so incredible. I love it. Not gonna talk too much about that, but yeah, you guys should give those a try for real. I think it's a true testament that you really do need to just let your body heal, and even though you're cleared at 6 weeks, if you don't feel comfortable or ready yet, like you will eventually, but just give yourself a little bit of time to kind of get there. You just had a very traumatic experience happen to that area of your body. It's okay if you're not ready yet to be intimate. You guys, you have your whole lives, rest of your lives, to like get your freak on. Just like allow your body to heal. And any men who are watching this video right now, we still love you, we still want to be intimate with you, but our bodies just went through something that is so traumatic. You will never understand the magnitude of it, even though you understand the concept. Our bodies are going through so many changes so drastically, especially during that postpartum experience. And it could just be a mental thing, or it could be a physical thing, but like it's really hard for us, and like we're trying our best to just take care of our babies, and we're focusing so much on just trying to be a good mom. There's so much pressure on us, and like I know that there's pressure on you as dads, so take that pressure that you kind of feel as a dad and just multiply it by like 1,000. It's a lot of pressure. We see you in this role as a dad, and we're just falling so much more in love with you in ways that we could never expect. But just be patient with our bodies, and just be patient with our hearts and our minds, and just allow us to really get through this transition in our lives. It's only a few months. It's really not that big of a deal. So that's just like my little message to significant others, especially of the male variety. What's something that you wish you had help with after coming home? I also saw another question that was like, what did you wish that you had planned for better postpartum? These are kind of similar questions that I want to talk about. If your friend is pregnant and having a baby, what you can definitely help with is actually coming over with the intent of helping her do miscellaneous tasks other than hold her baby. I'm a firm believer that in the 4th trimester, you should be able to be with your baby as much as possible, really just like bond and feed and just have that time with them. I don't really like the idea of people coming over and always asking, like, let me hold the baby for you so you can do laundry, let me hold the baby for you so that you can do dishes, let me hold the baby for you so you can do fill in the blank. I would much rather people come over to my house and say to me, hey, I really want to help, how can I help you? And I would say, like, do you mind taking the laundry from upstairs and doing the laundry? And now I'm not going to ask like acquaintances or even like my in-laws or whatnot to do that kind of stuff. But if I have my best friend coming over, if you have seen my home and an utter disaster and you are coming over my house to like help me postpartum, I do not feel uncomfortable asking you to do things like that, because my best friend is a mom, and my best friend has helped me clean my home before, and my best friend would absolutely not even ask. She would just come over and start doing those things. So if you have people in your life like that, don't be afraid to say, I would really like to continue holding my baby and to be able to relax so I can hang out with my baby, but I'm being stressed by other things that I'm not able to do while holding my baby, and if you could help contribute to those, that would be amazing. Perfect. You can go over to their house if they have any other children, and you can bring an activity for that child and kind of just take that child. Even if you're around the mom and the baby, you can just keep that child occupied, give them some extra special attention and whatnot. That's really helpful as well. Bring them a coffee or a tea or food. That's also great. And if that mom really needs some time alone, give her that time alone. Then take the baby, let her take a hot shower, let her drink a hot beverage, let her have a hot meal, let her take a nap. All of those things would be incredible. Now I'm going to talk about something very important that I feel like I totally missed the ball on with my first and kind of my second child, but really did a good job of doing my third. Speaking of my children, they're screaming right now. I really wish that I put as much effort into preparing for me to come home as I did preparing for my baby to come home. And what I mean by that is, my baby was just born, but my body just went through a whole lot, and I have a lot of healing to do. I really wish that I put into place different things that would allow me to have more of a stress-free experience healing and postpartum. So Dan only took off 1 week of work with Cooper, and it was like gone in a flash, and then all of a sudden I was alone with a newborn baby with like not knowing what to do, and it was so stressful for me. With Willa, my second, he took off 2 weeks of work, and that was a little bit better, but it was still terrible. Like, I then had, after 2 weeks, which goes by in a flash, I then had a toddler and a newborn that I had to care for on my own, and it was just such a struggle. And I was healing during both of these times. With this baby, Sawyer, my husband took off 7 weeks, which really ended up being 8 weeks. And it was amazing. I had 2 months to actually heal, 2 months to bond as a family, 2 months to sort of get into a routine. Now, in the United States especially, we all know that paid time off is really hard to come by, especially for males. However, in the state of New York, you do have something called paid family leave. That is a state-by-state thing. There's a few states that are included in it, so go and check and make sure that your state is included. As of 2020, it was 70% of your paycheck. You can choose not to have taxes taken out of that money so that you can get more of your paycheck. And you're also able to take up to 10 weeks paid leave. How great is that? So that was called family paid leave, if you guys wanted to go and check it out. If you are able to do that, do it. Do not do it. Spend time saving a little bit of money to supplement that income and take the family paid leave. It made such a huge difference. I was able to actually heal. My healing process this time around was so much better. I wasn't in pain ever. I didn't have weird sporadic bleeding. I wasn't like uncomfortable or exhausted. Like, my abs completely healed this time, which has not happened before. I had a 4-finger separation postpartum with Cooper. 4 fingers in my abs. My abs were separated that much. Like, it was so bad. And lo and behold, I go to my 6-week appointment this time. She checks my stomach and I have no separation. I can fully engage my core. Everything is healed. It just feels incredible. That just goes to show, if you really take the effort to focus on your homecoming as well as your baby's homecoming, you can really make a difference for your body. So I'm reading a few different questions. I'm gonna bundle these as well. People want to know about different experiences that they had and if it's normal. So one is postpartum hair loss. There's, let's see, trouble controlling your bladder. And I actually saw a lot of postpartum BO and postpartum baby blues and postpartum anxiety, postpartum breast leaking, and there was one other one. Itchy stitches. I'm just like going through all of these questions. And then I think farting. Yeah, farting. So let's talk about all of those. Now, I have a very strong pelvic floor, and I have never had any type of incontinence like that. However, there are many, many women who do, and I just want to say that's not normal. It's very, very common, but it's not normal. It's not something that you have to live with or should have to live with. You need to go see a pelvic floor specialist, and they will have you do exercises to stop that from happening. So don't just live with it. If it's something that's really affecting you, go to the doctor and get a referral to go see a physical therapist. There's also a lot of like online courses that you can take if you can't afford to go to like a physical therapist or whatnot. But like, if you are peeing your pants every time that you do any little thing, like laugh or sneeze or whatnot, like what kind of life is that to live, guys? You don't want to live that way. I would definitely try to budget into your budget to go to the doctor, and definitely try to figure that out. Don't be embarrassed. It's like one of the most common things that people message me about. I'm gonna assure you that your doctors and your midwives and whoever you see have all, if they're not have experienced it themselves, like they know people who have most definitely experienced it. So like, don't just, I think what I'm trying to say is don't just live with it. Like, you deserve to not have that happen to you. You deserve to feel better about that. So go to the doctor and get that sorted. As far as like the farting, I've never experienced that either. I wasn't even really that gassy. Your hormones are out of control, going all over the place, trying to like go back to normal, but then you're like breastfeeding. If you are breastfeeding, then like that's happening, or like your milk's drying up if you're not breastfeeding, and like hormones are just like so if that's happening to you, obviously this goes without saying, always talk to your doctor about these things. I am not like WebMD over here. I'm just letting you know my personal experiences and kind of things that I've heard about commonly, because I have this community of women who I'm always talking to. But you definitely want to go to your doctor and see what's going on there, but I have a feeling it's just because of your hormones. Itching stitches, yeah. Okay, this is I want to talk about quickly. So a lot of people had said that they had like smelly stuff going on down there, and smell usually indicates an infection, especially if it's like really, really bad. I don't want to tell you to like not go to the doctor. You need to tell your doctor if you're having funky smells down there. But the funky smells that are not caused by an infection, which I've gotten every single time, I've found that my body with all these hormonal changes, and then like the lochia has like a scent to it. It doesn't like smell bad, but it just has like a different scent. And all of the bleeding, and you got like stitches, and there's just like a lot going on down there. And then the hormone imbalance and your flora imbalance and all that kind of stuff. This is what I have started to do, and it has worked like a charm. With Cooper, I didn't do anything, and I had like bacterial vaginosis, which is just like not a fun thing, and things were just like weird down there, probably why I waited until 6 months to actually be intimate. But yeah, things were just like really strange down there. I couldn't figure out what the heck was going on. They had to give me like this like ointment and stuff like that. Willa, in the beginning, I kind of started to feel like I was going in that direction, so instead I started taking this probiotic that I really loved, and it was the Garden of Life Vaginal Care Probiotic. I took it through the whole pregnancy with my third and then postpartum, and it made a huge difference, guys. Just to give you like a basis, I am one of those very lucky women who don't have anything weird usually going on down there, like scents or infections or yeast infections or anything like that. I'm very like a natural, just like I think my level of flora and all that stuff just stays very normal and natural. But postpartum, I do experience some weird things. So I found that this probiotic did a phenomenal job of keeping me pretty level and normal while my body was going through so many drastic changes. So I would first and foremost definitely try that probiotic. It was absolutely incredible for my body. I didn't have any type of like weird scenty things going on this time around, but when I would stop taking it for a couple of days, that's when I seriously just like right away, I would just start to notice like things seem to be unbalanced or imbalanced down there. And then I would start taking it again and everything would be fine. And then after those first like 8 to 10 weeks, I stopped taking it and everything was great, and I haven't taken it since, and I have just been like completely normal and just like a happy camper. Oh, I also forgot to talk about nipple spraying and postpartum BO. So once again, postpartum BO, I hear postpartum BO and I instantly think to myself, hormones. That is your hormones going crazy. I don't know what to tell you. I haven't experienced that myself, but like, I don't know. I would try maybe one of those like clinical strength deodorants just temporarily until like you can not have that experience. But yeah, like for me, something weird that I experienced, I lose all my arm hair postpartum. Like literally my arm hair just like falls off my body. My hair just like falls out of my head too. It's never been like too bad. Right now I'm in desperate need of a haircut. My hair was doing some like weird stuff pregnancy wise. As you guys can see, it's like 2 different lengths for some reason. This part of my head like fell off my body. The trick is to continue taking your prenatal and all of your vitamins postpartum for a very long time. Like just take them for like another 10 months, and whether you're breastfeeding or not. And I feel like that really helps with your hair loss. And then on top of that, I also take keratin as well. Obviously check with your doctor first, but I was cleared to take keratin and I feel like it really has helped my hair get like stronger again and just like healthier. And then we also didn't talk about boobs postpartum. Guys, if there's any part of my body that has permanently changed because of having babies, it is my breasts. I used to have nice, cute, perky little boobies, and now I have literal pancakes on my body. Like it is just like, I have like a little bit of oomph when I am breastfeeding because there's milk in there, but when I say that like postpartum, my boobs are like, they're just like really flat, like granny boobies. I feel so bad for my body. But yeah, that is a very truthful thing. Enjoy your boobies while they last. If you are postpartum and you start to breastfeed, especially, they might not be perky anymore. And if they aren't, it's okay. You fed and nourished a baby, so. And spraying nipples, yeah. If he latches, sucks, stimulates letdown, and at any point during the feed lets go, you will just see like spraying. He's just spraying everywhere, and it's hilarious. I've hit Dan before, like from across the room. So that's a thing. I don't know if it ever really goes away when you're done breastfeeding. So now the last thing that I want to talk about, I think, is postpartum anxiety, postpartum depression, postpartum OCD, and intrusive thoughts, and baby blues. And I feel like I always talk about these on my channel because not many people do, but there's something that I haven't talked about and that I want to talk about in this video, especially if you've made it this far into the video. That means you're really engaged and you really want to like have a heart-to-heart with me. Postpartum anxiety and postpartum depression and postpartum OCD are so common and so real. And while it's not normal, it's common. There's a difference. So if you say that something's normal, I feel like you're normalizing it, and just it forces women to feel like they just kind of have to deal with it, and you don't, and that's not fair to say. When you say it's common, that means that you don't have to feel isolated and like you are different than everybody else. What you're experiencing is very common. I want you to not feel so scared about seeking help for it. And I always was scared to seek help for it because I always thought, and this was in part my anxiety playing tricks on me, I always thought that it would be this huge deal. They'll take my babies away from me because they'll think I'm an incompetent mom, and they'll try to put me in a psych ward, and they'll do this and they'll do that, and it'll be this whole big deal that I'll never be able to backtrack from, because the second I say that I'm experiencing it, it's a problem, and I failed as a mom, and I'm one of those people who are defective, and I was just having like these horrible thoughts. This time around, I realized that I am the absolute best mom right now. The best mom. Like, I am such a good mom. Like, I am so patient and so kind and so loving and affectionate and just so fun all the time. And the reason why is because I finally sought help. And it has been so easy and so amazing. With Cooper, I don't think I experienced any type of postpartum anxiety or postpartum depression. What I think was going on with me is I was so shocked at the transition between non-motherhood and motherhood that it was just like brutal for me. I really struggled. I didn't know what I was doing. I felt like one day I had it all down pat, and the other day I was like, I don't know what to do with this baby. Like, there's no classes that can prepare you for this. And I was just struggling. With Willa, I had such bad postpartum anxiety. I was struggling so much with OCD, intrusive thoughts. Guys, I was struggling so bad. Now being in the position that I'm in now and thinking back to that time, I was so severely struggling. Guys, I couldn't order a coffee from someone without having a nervous breakdown. My social anxiety was so extreme. My intrusive thoughts, I would have this thought and I could just not get rid of it. It was just consuming. It was all consuming to my body. I would think to myself, oh, I have a headache. I have cancer. I have a brain cancer. I'm terminal. I'm going to die. And it was just like, that was it. I was done. Like, that was my life. I was terminal and horrible things were going to happen. I was never going to see my family again. Blah, 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 blah. It was so bad, and it would just spiral and spiral and spiral, and I could not stop thinking about the thought, and I just would have these feelings of panic, and it was just like, I got so tired, so mentally, physically, emotionally drained of dealing with this anxiety that I just started to be so sad. And I wasn't having depression because of hormonal changes. I was having depression because I was just so scared that I was never going to stop feeling this way, that this was my life from here on out. I went from such a forward, happy person who could have a conversation with somebody to just never being able to. I was just being so isolated because I never wanted to talk to people because I just felt so awkward. I didn't know how to look at somebody and talk to them. I didn't know where to put my eyes. Things that come naturally to us when we're talking that like I couldn't physically do. I didn't know what to do with my hands. I didn't know where to look. I found myself like looking downward and like looking at like, you know, I'd look at a necklace, or I'd like look at their eyebrows or their mouth, and like then I would start thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I'm being so weird. I would try to like say words and I would like stumble, and I'd be like, now I'm being awkward, and like these people probably think I'm so strange. Like it was just so hard for me. Went into this pregnancy. The second I get pregnant, I start feeling incredible. So I definitely have something going on where like I have like low estrogen, or I have like low progesterone, or something's going on with my body, and I'll figure it out eventually. But I went into this pregnancy letting my midwives know that I experienced horrible postpartum anxiety and I would like to be proactive. So these are the two things that I did. The first thing that I did was I tried so hard to not take medication because I wanted to be a good mom. I wanted to not put something into my body that could potentially affect my baby. And what I realized is that there's medications out there that are such a low dose and are so well studied that chances are you are not going to affect your child at all. What was a guarantee to affect my child was my anxiety. I was stressed out. I was not able to focus on being a mom. I found myself getting frustrated easily. I found myself having panic attacks easily. I found myself detaching from my family and my children. I found myself snapping at my husband for no reason. I found myself not being like, I hate saying a bad mom because I don't think anyone's a bad mom, but I found myself not being the best mom that I could be because of my anxiety. And while all this was happening, I was saying to myself like, yeah, I'm not going to take medication because like I don't want to put my child through that. Meanwhile, I wasn't being the best mom that I could be, and I was just suffering through this anxiety. So back to what I was saying, I told my midwife that I wanted a prescription of Zoloft, and she was like, sounds good. So I had a prescription of Zoloft always and forever waiting for me when I gave birth. I didn't want to take it while I was pregnant, but because I always felt great, but I said I wanted to just have it available. And the simple fact of knowing that I had it available kind of took away some of the power that the anxiety had on me during Willa's pregnancy, because I knew at the end of the day I had an option that I almost could guarantee would more or less work for me. I also then created a baseline with a therapist. So I found a therapist, very important, that specialized in like perinatal therapy or like postpartum moms therapy, because there's a lot of things that we experience that are very unique to motherhood. Intrusive thoughts come in all different shapes and sizes. So if you're watching this and you're thinking to yourself, I'm a horrible mom. I hold this deep, dark demon secret where I've thought, like, what if I am holding a knife and it falls on my baby and it like stabs my baby? Or like, what if like I run over my baby accidentally, like the baby's left in a car seat and I like run over the baby and I forget to put the baby in the car. Like things like that, horrible thought, whatever they may be. Intrusive thoughts come in all shapes and sizes, and there are some therapists out there that just have like no understanding of that type of thought process. It doesn't mean that you're trying to harm your baby or that you have any intention of harming your baby. You want to have a therapist who understands that type of OCD, postpartum OCD intrusive thoughts, and you want to be able to talk openly and freely without them kind of reacting in a negative way or a way that they shouldn't be reacting in, because even professionals can make mistakes. So definitely try to find like somebody who understands postpartum. Now my therapist, I'm not going to give you her information just because out of respect to myself and privacy of myself. My therapist is a mom, currently pregnant, and she specializes in that type of therapy, and it's incredible. Like, to be able to just have her understand what it's like to be a mom and postpartum, and she's like kind of understands the triggers and the stresses of postpartum motherhood. It's been just like really wonderful to have her. I wanted to create a baseline with her before while I was feeling amazing, just in case I started feeling absolutely horrible, she could then see the drastic difference in how I feel and like how I am as a person. I also have a workbook that she recommended to me. If those of you are out there and you can't afford to have therapy, this workbook is like a postpartum anxiety workbook. Depression and anxiety, oh my goodness, $20 off of Amazon, and it basically is like an legit, like it's good. It's a good workbook. Like it teaches you the differences between your anxiety and depression as a postpartum person, gives you different methods of getting through that anxiety, and also asks you the questions that the therapist would naturally ask you in a therapy session to kind of get you to understand where your anxiety is coming from. But anyway, that is it for this postpartum video. I hope that I answered some of your questions. I'm gonna also link in the description box below my 24-hour video after labor. I do talk a lot about stuff in there, and you'll see me in the hospital and what my belly looked like and all that kind of fun stuff, as well as our 30-hour induction video. It's like a really good birth vlog. I really love it. So I hope you guys enjoy that too. Also, don't forget that I have that link for Natural Cycles down below, and you can get a really good discount with that as well. But that is it, guys. Thank you so much for sitting here and hanging out with me and this lovely chit chat Q&A. Let me know if you guys have any more questions down below. I'll try to answer them for you, but I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
The world could fall down, it's gonna be okay.